Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about a hobby that I've been into for many years now, and I haven't talked about that yet on my channel. If you watch my last video, you'll see it's pretty long, like a 40-minute RC crawler meetup where me and a bunch of friends went out wheeling over in White Settlement. I haven't talked about that topic on my channel yet, but what that topic is, in case you couldn't figure it out, is RC cars. Now specifically, these are crawlers. So these are the two that I have currently. This one here on my right is the Lozy Nightcrawler. This is the Gen 1 version. It's got a ton of mods on it. It's got control arms, aftermarket shocks. It's got some wheel wideners, aftermarket wheels, tires. It's got the Novak brushless system in it. It works really well. The thing that makes this a peach is that it's got worm gears in the axles, which means it can crawl really slowly, and it's got a lot of friction on it, so it's not going to roll, it's not going to run away. You don't need a drag brake on this like you do on any other crawlers. And over here on my left is an SCX-10. It's made by Axial. This too also has a bunch of mods on it. This one actually has the old motor out of the Lozy just because it burned up and I needed something quick to replace because I really wanted to go wheeling, didn't have time to go to the hobby shop, so I dropped in the factory Lozy one. That's what I've been running. I've noticed here lately with the weighted tires, the motor's really starting to be strained. I can smell it smoking. It's getting a little hot. Not a big problem because if it goes out, well, I'm not going to be too worried about it because I know this crawler's had a lot of runtime on it and now this one's had a lot of runtime on it. So I'd imagine it's about time to go. Other things that I've done is I've got an aftermarket steering servo, aftermarket links. It's actually got the Boom Racing links on it, and I'm dumping dirt everywhere just because I went out last Saturday, went wheeling. So it's got a full treatment of aftermarket arms. It's got a skid plate. It's got rock sliders. King shocks, those are pretty nice. They squeak a little bit, which is pretty terrible, but it doesn't bother me too much. And this one actually has the wheels and tires that were on the Nightcrawler. Reason being is that they are 2.2s, but on the Lozy, I went with a bigger tire. These are 2.2s as well, but they're a lot bigger, just to give it a little bit better footprint. So far that's worked okay. I blew a bead last time I was out, but I decided to try foamless wheels. It didn't work out nearly as I planned. So, run foams. Other things that I've done to it is you can see I've got a nice steer bumper here. The rear, I've also got a deadlock rear steel bumper with fancy shackles. It's got lights on it, but they're not plugged in because just having two little lights in the bumper, that'd look weird. But it came with it. I've also got a GoPro mount on the hood of this one and on the roof of this one. I have made several videos on it. Obviously, you saw the last video that I made. You can see this is the GoPro mount. So, on to today's topic. Let me put these aside. Now it's all filthy. Today, I will be unveiling a new crawler. That's this bad boy. This is the Traxxas TRX 4. It is the Land Rover Defender in orange, of course. These have been out for a little over a year now. The original colors that came out was red and gray, and now they have this, I'm not sure, the Adventure Edition, which is in this beautiful orange. None of the components from the regular one changed. So let's get started unboxing it. Now I have opened it, makes it a little bit easier. On top you're going to find the controller. I'll review over that here in a minute. Okay, you got some styrofoam crap. And you pull this out. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, and that's it. That's all that's in the box. I'll set that aside. Okay, so here it is. So, first things first, obviously you can tell it is a really nice orange and black two-tone. So the roof is black, the hood's black, the fender flares are black. With the black wheels, this thing it looks so slick. It also comes with an entire roll cage with spare tire, and you've got some gas cans over here on the side. On the front, you've got a snorkel, which is pretty neat. You've got a faux winch on the front. pretty neat. Nice little detail. I assume you can probably unbolt that and put in a real one if you so choose. It does have itty bitty tiny shackles on the front. Those are plastic. Might have to replace those. A few things that I do plan to do, obviously, is bumpers. I've heard that you can flip the mounts to make the bumper sit up a little taller. You'll have to cut the grill for that, which is unfortunate. Not sure if I'll do that just yet. On the rear, you can flip the bumper bracket just to make the bumper sit up a little taller. You do have to cut the body for that. I don't think that'd be a huge issue. It's a clearance thing because this does have a lot of overhang on it. One thing you'll notice is on the very top, I do have a GoPro mount. I have already opened it. I just want to make sure that everything worked. I've been super swamped this week. You can tell that I've already posted 2 videos this week, and I didn't want to be rushed to make this video. I kind of want to take my time with it, so I've been already making sure that it all works, all the buttons work and everything like that before I showed you. So let's go ahead and take the body off of it. You've got the 4 black body pins, which is really nice. And you just pull the body off of it. One thing to note, that the body is pretty heavy. Right now it's a little tail heavy because you do have a full-size spare tire that you could swap out with any of the 4 on the ground. This one also does come with integrated fenders on the inside. And the cool thing is, on the front, you can actually unbolt the back of the headlights and put in a light kit, so then you'll have headlights and blinkers and all that stuff. And that light kit is from Traxxas. You'll also have a light bar up on the roof, and on the back end, you'll also get tail lights, which you can see down there at the bottom. Have I decided to do that yet? I think I will. It looks really cool at night. I've got a couple of friends who have these, and it looks sweet, so I might just do that. Looking at the chassis itself, it's a full steel C-channel chassis. And I tell you what, over these 2 crawlers that I have on the floor, this is so much different. Not only A, is the entire system fairly low, it's all in the middle, but I also have selectable lockers and a 2-speed. Selectable lockers, what I mean is that if I turn this wheel forward, the other one spins backwards. That means it's unlocked right now. So if you were to flex it up, you could have one tire on solid ground and the tire off the ground is just going to spin. So that's something that I don't have in the other 2 crawlers. Those are a full-time locked 4-wheel drive system, and that works okay, and that works great for just being able to point the rig and go. This, I wanted a little bit more of a challenge, plus with the 2-speed I can get a little bit more ground speed out of it, which is something that I don't have with those 2 because those 2 are really slow. And with most of the completely factory crawlers, you'll notice that you'll have front and rear plastic bumpers. You'll have all of the body mounts, that's all plastic. Your battery tray's plastic, all of your ESC, all of your skid plates and running boards and all that. It's all going to be plastic. Your axles are going to be plastic as well. You probably can't see it because a lot of this is black. All of the suspension stuff is black and it is plastic. So why would that be a bad thing? Well, it's not really a bad thing. It's more of a it can break kind of sort of thing. So if you're really hard on these, which a lot of people are, they tend to start breaking stuff. And one of the first things to go is the steering servo. From Traxxas, it's not a very good unit. I do plan to upgrade in the near future. Now, will I blow out this one before I upgrade? I don't know. I might go ahead and buy a new one. I still got to do a ton of research just to make sure that I get just the right one that I can bolt in here without too many issues. One of the problems with plastic bumpers that I don't like and a lot of people don't like is that these will flex a whole lot, and them being just molded plastic, you don't have a whole lot of ground clearance to begin with. They tend to hang low even if you flip the bumper bracket. Another issue with having plastic stuff is that it tends to bend a whole lot, which is nice, versus metal that doesn't bend or deflect that could cause fatiguing issues. But with the plastic, it'll bend a little bit and it'll allow you to slide over obstacles such as rocks. Another thing to note is the shock towers on these are plastic. Not a huge deal breaker for me. I think I'll probably run the stock shocks as is for now. But if I do plan to upgrade, I will definitely go back with something like Hot Racing's shock towers. I've seen those. Those look awesome. And you can get some aftermarket shocks that are a little bit longer. That'll give you a little bit more down travel and up travel. Though you do have to be careful of hitting the fenders. I have already confirmed that when this flexes out, it does hit fender. One way to solve that is to lift the mount, which there is, now that I'm looking at it, it's about the middle perch. You can raise it up a little bit to gain a little bit more tire clearance, but because the body's somewhat heavier, that means you have to lift the entire body higher, which that'll make your center of gravity go up as well. In this video, I don't really plan to cover a whole lot of mods that I'm going to do. I'm not going to share all my secrets because I want to do it and run it and see how I like it before I actually post up a bunch of mods. But I do have a few mods that I'm going to install on this. Stuff that are pretty basic, stuff that I already have, but that'll all be reviewed in a later video. The reason why I'm making this video this week is because I got it last weekend and I plan to go out wheeling tomorrow afternoon, which means the entire chassis will be muddy, scratched up, the tires will be full of mud, just like you've seen my other ones. It'll dump dirt everywhere all over my table, which is unfortunate. But also the body will probably have some scratches, some dings, some dents, you know, the normal stuff that when you go out with a crawler you see happen. I don't have a huge problem with that, but I just want to show you the body and the chassis as is before it gets all muddy and all that stuff, before I start tearing into it and start modding it. Now, I have a Excel document on my computer right now that's got a whole list of mods that I've already started planning, not only over this week, but I pretty much knew that I was going to get a TRX 4. I just wasn't sure which one I would get. Luckily on the TRX 4s, they're pretty much all the same. The motor's pretty much the same motor, transmission, axles, steering and all that stuff is all about the same throughout all of the platforms. This one's just the longest model. The Sport doesn't have any of the lockers or the 2-speed because it's got spools in the diffs and it's locked already. The Bronco itself, the way it differs is it's got the fenders mounted on the chassis itself versus this on the body, and the Sport doesn't even have fenders. But one thing over the Bronco that I liked about this one is with the fenders coming on the body, I might be able to retrofit those onto the chassis, but make my own mounts so that they're easily removable if I need to remove them. Now, if I do plan to run a different body, which I may or not be doing, you'll have to wait for that one. But I might not need the fenders because they might not fit, because I'll need clearance for my tires to come up into that wheel well. Though I think it would be pretty cool to run fenders. The batteries that I plan on running are a LiPo. They're a 3S, which this will do just fine out of the box. Now the cool thing about this tray is that the little battery tie-down strap, it's got two settings. It's got a 23mm and a 26mm. For my batteries, they're a little bit taller, so this is strained a little bit, but I've actually 3D printed one of these already that sits a little bit taller, so it gives me a little bit more clearance. And over a lot of past crawlers, such as my two crawlers, they use the Velcro tie-down straps, which versus this uses a hard plastic tie-down that just snaps into place. And that holds it relatively well. There are several mods that you can do to the battery tray, such as a low center of gravity battery tray that essentially you remove the factory one and you install a 3D printed bracket that you can either do yourself or you can order online that'll drop the battery within the frame rails versus sitting more on top of it. Another cool thing about this chassis and all of the TRX 4s is that they're all waterproof, which is really neat. I've got video evidence of a couple of friends that they just take theirs wheeling and they'll just dump them over into the water, or they'll do a stream crossing and they float across just fine, no problems. Now, talking about the radio controller, this is just your typical 2.4 gigahertz controller from Traxxas. Now, on one of my other Traxxas vehicles, the Stampede that I've got, which is more of a monster truck, it used to have a giant long antenna that stuck out about that far from the controller itself, and you had to reel it out. Nowadays, they don't even have that. It's all built in, which is really nice. I do have a switch here for the 2 speeds, which is nice. I've got my steering and throttle trims. On the top of it, I've got a metal flip switch here. So it's got 3 settings. The very back setting is for no locked diffs. Move it one switch, that locks the front diff, and I move it again, and that locks both front and rear diffs. Typically you want to run it with no lock diffs until you actually want to get crawling. Then you go ahead and lock it up as you would need. It is best that whenever you're locking the diffs or turning on your second gear, to be stopped while you do that, just to prevent any sort of damage that could happen. One thing that I have been made aware of is the 2 servos that control the locking diffs that are on this side of the chassis. These are little itty bitty micro servos. I have heard a lot of people having issues with them stripping out the gears inside. Apparently they're plastic and they're not the most durable thing in the world. Alright, well, that's all I've got for this video. I believe it's long enough. Anyways, so let's get this thing buttoned up and let's go wheeling. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.